Captain James Miller stood rigid as the alien delegation snickered among themselves. The historical museum aboard the Earth diplomatic vessel Resilience had been his idea, a showcase of human innovation through the ages, meant to foster understanding between species. Instead, it had become a source of amusement for their honored guests. Commander Vex, the lead representative of the Taurian Confederacy, pointed a long, blue-tinged digit at the glass display case containing a Colt single-action army revolver from 1873. This primitive device was a weapon. Vex's universal translator conveyed his words with perfect clarity, but couldn't hide the condescension. How quaint. My species had achieved faster-than-light travel when yours was still relying on projectiles and chemical propellants. The 5 other Taurians, tall, reedy beings with luminescent eyes, joined in with their clicking laughter. Their exoskeletons gleamed under the museum lights as they huddled around the display. Miller forced a diplomatic smile. That's a Colt 45, sir. For nearly a century, it was among the most reliable firearms on Earth. We've found examples that still function after 150 years. Function? Vex's head tilted, the gesture universal across sentient species. You mean to say this ancient contraption still operates? Many do, yes. With proper maintenance, mechanical weapons can last generations. Admiral Patel, standing at Miller's side, shifted uncomfortably. The first diplomatic mission to the Taurian Confederacy was going poorly. Humanity, late to the galactic stage, had hoped to impress the advanced aliens with their resilience and ingenuity. Instead, the Taurians seemed determined to view humans as primitive curiosities. On our world, Vex continued, we abandoned such barbaric tools millennia ago. Our neural disruptors leave no wounds, cause no pain. They simply deactivate the target. He gestured to the sleek device holstered at his side. Quite humane, unlike what did you call it? Your Colt. Miller's jaw tightened. Different circumstances required different solutions, Commander. Indeed, primitive circumstances, primitive solutions. Vex turned to his companions. Observe how they needed to physically manipulate these mechanisms, so inefficient. The diplomatic meeting deteriorated further during dinner. The Taurians rejected human cuisine, consuming only their own nutrient solutions. They dismissed Earth art as simplistic, Earth music as discordant, and Earth philosophy as underdeveloped. Your species shows potential, Vex announced, his tone that of a teacher praising a slow student. In a few centuries, perhaps you'll advance enough to warrant full Confederacy membership. Miller exchanged glances with Admiral Patel. This wasn't going as planned. 3 days later, everything changed. The Resilience was approaching Jupiter when the alarms blared. An unidentified vessel had dropped out of hyperspace dangerously close to them. Pirates. Lieutenant Reed reported from Tactical. Aurelian raiders. They're jamming our communications and targeting our engines. Miller cursed. The Aurelians were notorious throughout this sector, brutal raiders who left no survivors. On screen, the Aurelian vessel loomed, a jagged predator against the starfield. The first shots struck before the Resilience could raise shields. Weapons offline, Reed shouted over the chaos. Shields at 30%. They've locked onto us with boarding tractors, reported Ensign Torres. Estimate hostile boarding in 3 minutes. Miller turned to Vex and his delegation, who had rushed to the bridge. Commander, your neural disruptors. But the Taurians stood frozen, their exoskeletons vibrating with fear. Aurelians are immune to neural technology, Vex whispered. Their nervous systems are distributed differently than most species. Then what do you suggest? Admiral Patel demanded. Surrender is the only logical option, Vex stated flatly. The Confederacy will negotiate for our release. And the human crew? Miller asked. Vex's silence was answer enough. Miller shared a look with Patel, then made his decision. Mr. Reed, Emergency Protocol 7. Now. Reed nodded grimly and keyed his console. Throughout the ship, hidden compartments opened in the walls, revealing weapons lockers. Miller approached one, extracting a Colt single-action army revolver, identical to the museum piece, but functional. Similar antique weapons appeared in the hands of other crew members. Lever-action rifles, pump shotguns, even a Thompson submachine gun. "What is this madness?" Vex exclaimed. "You cannot seriously intend to fight with these relics." Miller checked the cylinder of his revolver. "These relics don't require power cells that can be disrupted. They don't need computerized targeting that can be hacked. They operate on simple physics: a primer, powder, and lead." The ship shuddered as the Aurelians connected their boarding tubes. "Take cover behind the bulkheads," Miller ordered his crew. To Vex, he added, "I suggest you and your people stay well back." The first Aurelian raiders burst through the airlock, hulking figures with mottled gray skin and multiple eyes. Their own energy weapons hummed to life. Then the humans opened fire. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space, a cacophony of explosions that no energy weapon produced. The first raiders fell, their bodies unable to withstand the physical trauma of bullets tearing through tissue. The surprise was total. The Aurelians had encountered countless species with energy weapons, but none who still employed physical projectiles. Their shields, designed to stop energy bursts, were useless against lead and copper traveling at supersonic speeds. In 90 seconds, it was over. The raid had failed. Later, as the Resilience limped toward the nearest human outpost, Commander Vex approached Miller on the observation deck. "I owe you an apology, Captain," the Taurian said quietly. "I underestimated both your species and your heritage." Miller nodded, still cleaning his revolver. "Many have made that mistake. Your primitive weapons saved us all. The Confederacy will hear of this." "They're not primitive, Commander," Miller replied, holstering the Colt. "They're proven. My great-grandfather carried this in the Mars Colony Wars. Said it never failed him." Vex's luminescent eyes studied the holstered weapon with new respect. "I believe there is much the Confederacy could learn from humanity after all. Perhaps it is we who have become over-specialized." Miller smiled faintly. "The universe is full of surprises. Best to be prepared for all of them." As Jupiter's swirling storms filled the viewport, human and alien stood side by side, a new understanding between them, forged in gunpowder and respect.